You know, this gaming industry can be something amazing at times. We have developers making their passion projects, companies like Xbox creating revolutionary accessibility tools so everyone can enjoy video games, consumers worldwide of all ages becoming fans of various game franchises, developers delivering breathtaking and unique adventures, game company execs like Nintendo, Xbox, and Sony coming together to celebrate this industry. The list goes on of all the amazing things that video games bring to this world. But unfortunately, the business side always is a problem. Particularly greed is a problem, something that in my opinion is not sustainable, and why I believe companies like Electronic Arts, Activision, Take-Two, Interactive are all destined for long-term failure because of the way they grew to the top of this industry. That'll be something we'll discuss more in depth in another video, but for now, the business practices and monetization models that companies like Activision have implemented are becoming not enough, which unfortunately means serious trouble. There's been discussion for a while that a video game crash is near, and honestly, I agree. The gaming industry has rose up fast in the last number of years, but many publishers are already hitting the ceiling, and we're seeing what that means, which unfortunately is lots of people losing their jobs. As we discussed the other day, Bloomberg reported Activision Blizzard Inc. plans to announce job cuts Tuesday in the face of slowing sales, according to people familiar with the matter, bringing fresh upheaval after spotty results roiled stocks this week. The shares dropped as much as 2.5% to $42.88 on Friday, which the truth is, in just 4 to 5 months, the Activision stock has plummeted by over 50%, and with fierce competition from games like Fortnite and Apex Legends, and also Red Dead Redemption 2 back in October and November of 2018, competing against their Black Ops 4, it's really hard to imagine things are going to keep improving. The free-to-play model is the way of the future. Start getting used to it. Microtransactions are here to stay, but they cannot exist in $60 games, and I have to imagine that's starting to become apparent to many publishers like Electronic Arts and Activision. Black Ops 4's Blackout mode needed to be free to play, but Activision got greedy and it backfired on them. Eventually, I imagine it will go free to play, but it'll be interesting if it can rebound after pretty much Apex Legends, which already has 25 million players, has taken its audience. But as the Bloomberg article continued, the layoffs, which could number in the hundreds, are part of a restructuring aimed at centralizing functions and boosting profits, said one of the people, who asked not to be identified because the changes have not been announced. Activision employed 9,800 people at the end of 2017, which sadly, that's exactly what happened today, and it appears the layoffs were more than expected. 8% of the Activision Blizzard workforce has been terminated, which equals up to around 800 employees, with many of those being let go, serving in non-game development departments. But as Kotaku reported, development sources from across the industry told Kotaku this afternoon that the layoffs have affected Activision Publishing, Blizzard, King, and some of the Activision studios, including High Moon. At Blizzard, the layoffs appear to have only affected non-game development departments such as publishing and esports, both of which were expected to be hit hard. When we discuss news like this, it's important to understand many of these individuals' lives have just been turned upside down. There isn't a game development studio on every corner, which this likely means that these now ex-employees may have to relocate to other states to get a job, or maybe even a new country. Kotaku's Jason Schreier reported on Twitter earlier in the day, as they brace for today's layoffs, Blizzard employees are crying and hugging in the parking lot, according to a person there. Still no official word from the company, but people in publishing and esports are expecting big cuts. And the last part is what annoys me the most. There have been rumors of job cuts since as far back as November 2018, but nobody was given a heads up. These job cuts that came today were sudden. Now, Game Informer did provide a little bit more context on why these job cuts were announced so late, saying, as part of the restructuring process, Activision Blizzard is legally required to undergo what's called a quiet period, during which the company cannot talk about major events like reorganization until the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, declares the statement effective. This puts employees in an incredibly stressful and precarious position since last Friday, wherein everyone knew layoffs were coming, but no one was getting any information from management. One employee we spoke to told us on Monday that it is like waiting for a loaded gun to go off. Yahoo Finance would also state that Activision Blizzard started notifying employees of the layoffs on Monday at its headquarters. Even with that noted, there has to be a better way to convey to these 800 people that very soon they will be without a job. Hours or a day notice is pathetic. Now, as reported by Kotaku, Blizzard President J. Allen Brack sent a letter to staff saying, "Over the last few years, many of our non-development teams expanded to support various needs. Currently, staffing levels on some teams are out of proportion with our current release slate. This means we need to scale down some areas of our organization. I'm sorry to share that we will be parting ways with some of our colleagues in the United States today in our regional offices. We anticipate similar evaluations subject to local requirements." The letter also promised a comprehensive severance package, continued health benefits, career coaching, and job placement assistance, as well as profit-sharing bonuses for the previous year to those who are being laid off at Blizzard. There's no way to make this transition easy for impacted employees, but we are doing what we can to support our colleagues, which I will say that last part is certainly good, but it doesn't change how crap the situation is. Now, for those curious about why all this is happening, is because Activision Blizzard missed on its earnings expectations like Electronic Arts and Take-Two Interactive did last week, which really isn't a surprise to anyone because Activision no longer has control of the Destiny franchise, which means a lot of money is going to be gone. Projections are up to around $400 million in lost sales, and also Blizzard's Overwatch and Hearthstone are slowing down. Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick, who is making around $30 million a year, just note that, opened the earnings call saying, "While our financial results for 2018 were the best in our history, we didn't realize our full potential. To help us reach our full potential, we made a number of important leadership changes. These changes should enable us to achieve the many opportunities our industry affords us, especially with our powerful owned franchises, our strong commercial capabilities, our direct digital connections to hundreds of millions of players, and our extraordinarily talented employees." So yeah, a record year wasn't enough because there wasn't enough growth. I mean, if you look at the earnings that they reported from last year, it was much more than 2017, but the problem is that the expectation was that it was going to be more. I mean, let's not forget, this company made billions of dollars. It's just that it wasn't enough billions of dollars. Bobby Kotick also did go on to add, "In-game execution was inadequate in some of our franchises, and we saw weaker than anticipated retail demand. Our 2019 outlook assumes that we will not improve in-game monetization as quickly as we would like, and that it is a transition year where we have less new major content to release than we should." So yeah, 2019 expectations have been lowered, and the immediate reaction to this earnings call was anger from the gaming community, but investors, well, they seem to be happy because the Activision stock has soared upward by about 3%. Look, I don't care what anyone says, there's no way to look positively at this situation, and I fear layoffs like this will only continue happening at big AAA publishers like Activision. Importantly, for those thinking that this won't affect game development, it will, and it already has. As we discussed in previous videos, Activision's influence is growing on Blizzard Entertainment, and many employees have stated the finance people are taking over. As Kotaku's Jason Schreier reported, one employee told him, "A lot of decisions now are being driven by business folks, marketing, and finance folks. There's a real struggle now between developers and the business people. Strategic decisions are being driven by the finance group." Additionally, as another employee stated, "The pressure is on. We're being told to spend less at every corner because we have no new IP. Because Overwatch set this bar of how much we could earn in a single year, there's a ton of pressure from Activision to get crap moving. They want something to show shareholders. While there may not be a new Blizzard game coming this year, I really have fears that the future of Blizzard Entertainment could be hurt by Activision's failure and desperation for more money. Game quality could be hurt and more microtransactions could be implemented, and maybe even more Diablo Immortals. Overall though, today is just sad. You have Activision Blizzard executives getting huge paydays, one of which getting a $15 million sweetener just last month to become CFO after multiple other executives jumped ship. And then you have decisions being made like today, which is to kill 800 jobs. These executives don't care about delivering good games, they care about boosting profits by any means, and this is only going to continue sadly. Jason Schreier wrote just a bit ago on Twitter, "Activision, Blizzard, King, and some Activision studios were hit hard this afternoon. Word is that some of those laid off at Blizzard had been at the company for 10, even 15 years. If there is one positive thing I can say, this video game industry does come together during moments like this, reaching out to those affected and trying to get them employed somewhere else. We've seen that multiple times, whether that be when BioWare Montreal shut down, or when Telltale Games shut down, or when Visceral Games got shut down. Too many examples. On Twitter right now, there's been numerous companies reaching out, even Electronic Arts, and I hope all those affected will be back working very soon. But my fears of a video game crash only keep growing because I truly feel Activision and many of these other publishers have hit the ceiling, and problems like this are only going to keep happening. In 2019, looking at the whole company, Blizzard may have some more content for existing franchises like Overwatch, but the franchise that's going to keep things afloat is Activision's Call of Duty, and Modern Warfare 4 is the rumored COD game of the year, and I just have a strong feeling that we'll see some annoying monetization schemes in place. I mean, we have not heard about Modern Warfare 2 Remastered in a while. Activision could try and do the same shenanigans they did with Call of Duty 4 Remastered a few years ago with Infinite Warfare, bundling them together. But besides MW4, the focus is going to be on growing Blackout, which can only happen if it goes free to play and starts to feature drastic changes that can compete against Fortnite and Apex Legends. For now though, as a player or consumer, I would be concerned about any franchise or game Activision Blizzard has its hands on. Their desperation is reeking, and that could ruin the potential of any other upcoming or even now released games. Even though Activision Blizzard is not in the news all that often, they are the worst company in this industry, and yes, they are worse than Electronic Arts. They just seem to get away with their nonsense far too often. Anyway, how do you feel about Activision Blizzard firing 800 employees while reporting a record year? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this. I'll see you later.